Channel 8 Eyewitness News at 6.
We tend not to think about safety issues as much in smaller communities.
Tonight, making our rural schools safer. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Rod Fowler. Megan Conway is going to join us in a live report a little bit later. But first, we have a closer look at a new study. It's through the University of Nebraska. Channel 8 Eyewitness News reporter Abigail Wood has more now in tonight's top story. Abigail?
Most schools in the city or suburbs have resource officers to turn to in times of crisis. Rural schools don't. The study looks at how they make up for that lack.
There's a new push to make rural schools safer in Nebraska. A research team led by UNL's Public Policy Center and the Nebraska Department of Education will study more than 150 schools in our state.
How are the more successful programs doing it compared to the programs where they're not working together as much?
They say rural schools have a smaller tax base and not enough money to keep safety officers on campus.
If you look at most urban and suburban schools, they'll have a school resource officer who may either be embedded in a school or multiple schools in a community. Rural schools do not have that luxury.
Still, with the odds seemingly stacked against them, rural law enforcement in Nebraska has gotten creative about protecting rural schools.
People do find ways to work together even when they're stretched thin. Law enforcement in rural areas is doing a lot to keep their community safer, but they're not going to call it by a fancy program name.
The study wants to find what works and use it as a model for struggling districts. The 2-year research project will be funded by a nearly $650,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Justice.
Again, the grant is for 2 years. Still, the Public Policy Center and Department of Education say they should have initial findings done within a year.